Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the next round of Blueprint Week presentations. This is a workshop run by Hack MIT staff on using Git, which is a really important version control tool. So yeah, I'll pass it off to Linda and she will take it away. Thanks.
Hi guys, I'm Linda. I'm a member of the dev team for Hack MIT and I joined this fall. Sorry about the late start. We had some streaming issues, but yeah, excited to teach you guys more about Git. Cool. All right, so this is an intro to Git presentation. So we'll be going over like the setup, the usage, and more. So this is the link to the slides. Like feel free to like follow along. There's some useful resources on the slides, so I would recommend just typing this into your computer. All right, so collaboration. So when you code, you might want to share code with someone, especially if you're participating in like a hackathon, let's say Blueprint, and you and your friends are working on something together. So how do you share that code? There's Google Docs, but I don't really think that's the best option considering you'll have to copy and paste and transfer so many things. So that's a no, right? Let's see what else we have. USB drive. So for this one, you'll have to be in person, and a lot of times when we code, we're like remote. So that maybe isn't the best option too. There's Microsoft Word, and as stated above, that's not really going to cut it as well. So what do we use? We use GitHub. We love GitHub. So through GitHub, you can collaborate and share code. You can test your code, and it really just makes the development process so much easier. So yeah, love GitHub. So what is version control and Git? Version control is a practice of tracking and managing changes to code. So why is this good? Well, as stated before, like a lot of people can work on the same code base, and you can also see who did what. So you can see like what changes if you like screws up your website, but don't actually do that. But yeah, very useful. Um, you could turn back the clock when mistakes are made. It's kind of like version history in Google Docs in that sense, I'd say. This is really useful because like when you code, there's like sometimes a lot of mistakes. When I code, there's a lot of mistakes. So yeah. And it also allows you to test different features on different versions of your projects. So like, let's say you make this new feature, but like you don't know if it's gonna work. Well, use Git. So that way, like your changes are saved and everything. Okay, so Git is a version control system, and GitHub manages online repositories using Git. GitHub is like a website, and we'll get more into that later. So don't worry if it's a bit confusing or new right now. So yeah. Okay, so let's make a GitHub account. So go to github.com and create an account. I would recommend using a school email, like a .edu email for student benefits. It gives you premium, and we love that. So if you don't have a GitHub account yet, you can pause this live stream and come back to it later. And if there's any difficulties, like setting up an account or like registering, feel free to send like any questions in the YouTube live chat. Like a member of our team is monitoring that. So yeah, feel free to do that. For the ones who do have GitHub accounts, I'm going to continue on for now. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Okay. So command line interfaces. So interacting with computers. How do we interact with our computers? Well, there's like a lot of ways, right? There's a mouse. I really like this cute emoji over here. There's a mouse. There's our keyboards, touch screens, and of course, voice and camera, which I am using right now to talk with you guys. And there's commands. So what are some basic commands? Well, these commands allow us to tell like our computer what to do. So that is very useful. So let's try some of this out, right? If you have a Windows, I'm on Windows, so I'll be showing you guys this. But it's pretty similar for Mac. So yeah, if you have a Windows, open PowerShell. I have PowerShell right here, actually. So let me just put this down here so it does not block this. And if you have a Mac, oh, it just disappeared. Oh well. If you have a Mac, just use terminal. Okay, so here is a list of some common commands, and we can type these into our command line interface. So basically just type them, and of course you press enter. And this link, this is very useful, I would say. Feel free to search it up. It's basically like a little cheat sheet. So it's like a lot more extended than this. This is just a few basic commands that we're gonna need to work with GitHub today. Cool, so let's try some of them out. So first up, we have make dir. So what does this do? You guys can go ahead and try it out. Okay, so what this does, as you can see, it makes a folder. So let's go ahead and try this. Sorry. Oh, there we go. I have this, right? And let's say I'm gonna make a folder and I'm gonna name it BP25. So notice how I have an underscore here. Like instead of doing BP space, I'm using an underscore. And this is because this is programming conventions, and it makes like reading things and like naming things like pretty useful. Like I would recommend like no spaces, no special characters. You can do something called snake case like this, or like let's say if I want to type it out, like blueprint or blueprint, like something like that. So it's like a lot less confusing like later on. And yeah, so let's say I make BP25. This can be my new folder. And wow, we have a folder. All right, continuing on. ls. So what does this do? So ls kind of just lists like what you have in that folder. So like if we were to try it out, oh wow. If we were to try it out, we can see that we actually have two folders in my directory right now. We have BP25, the one we just made, and we have this folder called old that I made a while ago. Okay, on to the next command. All right, cd. So what does this do? This just makes you enter the folder we made, right? So let's say I'm back here. Sorry about the tab switching. It's kind of confusing, but like, okay, we're entering here. Yay, so now we're in this folder. And if we list it, it's empty, but that's because we haven't added anything yet. So, but what if I try typing in cd, like a random thing? If I'm like, or like, let's say I love BP so much. Well, the computer is pretty smart. So working with command line, it's difficult at first, but it's pretty self-explanatory because the computer is gonna scream at you if you get anything wrong. So big brain computer, we love that. Okay, so let's say I'm done. How do I leave? As said here, you just cd dot dot, and boom, we're back here. We're back in our original directory. Cool. Again, let us know if you like have any questions, put it in chat. All right, now I have a task for you guys, right? So like let's say we have, or like we just started school, like school just started again, and we want to make some folders for our classes. Well, I want you to run through all of these instructions, like make a folder in your computer, name it for your high school. And this will really help you familiarize yourself with the command line interface. So yeah, if you want, just like pause the live stream, do these tasks, and come back once you are ready. Cool. Again, any questions? Okay, so what? So why did I teach you all of this? Well, Git can be used in the command line. Mind-blowing, I know, it's so crazy. Okay, so how do we get Git? If you have a Mac, you want to follow these instructions, right? If you have a Windows, follow these instructions. Just go to like the download. Make sure to config. This part is very essential, right? Because you want to tell GitHub like what account you're using, like who are you, right? Connect your like online like account to like your local computer. Make sure don't type Alan Wing. Type in your own name and like the email you use to make your GitHub account. So yeah. So Git principles. Here are a few principles. Sometimes we edit a lot of files, but like we don't want to share everything. Like maybe like this part of my code isn't finished or something. So Git provides some steps to keep changes on your computer while pushing some onto GitHub. So how does this work? So like let's say I change a file, right? I make a change. Well, first I would add this file to a staging area. We can maybe think of this like a warehouse. It's like where you store your changes. If your changes were packages, like you put them in the warehouse, but you haven't sent them out yet, so they're sitting there waiting for you. Right, yeah. So you first add and then you commit the files to the staging area. And so they're in a staging area. And you might be thinking, why? Why do we need this? Well, this lets us split like a lot, like a huge change. Like maybe you made like so many changes, but like what if you want to push it online separately? Like maybe you only want to like make push one change online. So yeah, you can split a large change into multiple commits. And this is also pretty useful because these commits in the staging area, you can return to them. So as I mentioned earlier, like, oh no, what if we made a mistake? We can just return to an earlier commit. Okay, and pushing your changes kind of just like takes the item out of your warehouse and like to the person's house. So yeah, this is like the basic workflow. You add, commit, and then you push. We'll be going over this later, and you'll be doing this a lot in the future. Another principle is branches. So back to the question, how do multiple people work on the same code without using Google Docs or something like that? How do you test multiple features of your code without breaking your code? And yes, like I said, well, branches kind of solve all of these problems. So what you can do is you have one main branch, right? And you want to keep this branch clean of bugs. This way you won't like screw up your project right before like a competition, let's say. So we want to keep it always working copy on our main branch right here. But like let's say maybe I want to add a new feature, right? And I don't know if it's gonna work, but I'm gonna try. Well, you can branch off. So basically, branch off the main branch, you'll have like a kind of isolated copy of your like code kind of, and then you can like make your changes, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now it works. Then you can merge, let's see, you can merge this branch back onto your main. And then like only merge once you make sure it works. But then boom, it's back on main. And yeah, this is how you and your friends can also work together. You can each have your own branch, and this way you won't overwrite anybody's edits or anything. So yes, branches, very useful. We love them. Again, any questions? Just put them in chat. And let me know if I'm moving too fast. Okay, so let's get some practice. Cool, cool. So first off, click on this link. If you're on the slideshow, or you can just type in this link. I have it open over here, right? And we're gonna fork my repository, right? So how do we do that? So let's say you found this repository, right? You can click this button called fork. And it's gonna automatically default to you. This is my own repository, so I can't really fork it, but you guys should be able to. It should default be you, and you click create fork, and boom, you have a copy of my repository now. And why are we doing this? We're doing this so you have like permission to modify stuff, because it'll be your own copy, so you can modify it. Cool, cool. So after you finish that, let's say you made a fork. So let's pretend that this is my fork, right? Okay, how do we get this code, right? Onto our local machine though, onto our computer? Well, we can do something called git clone. And how do we do this? So we click on code, right? Click clone. You want to copy this to your keyboard. Let's say navigate back to your command line interface. Make sure you're in like a good folder though, like name your folder like blueprint or something to like organize it better. But once you're like in the right folder, we can just do git clone, paste this, boom. Now if I ls, remember if I list what we have, wow, you can see BP git workshop. It's really cool. And if we go into here, let's say I'm like, oh, let's go here. We can see this Python file that I wrote that was originally here. So wow, we just got code from our from GitHub onto our computer, which is really cool. Okay, so as we said before, it's good practice to always make a branch. So maybe let's make a branch, like Git branch. I don't know, you could name this like, it should be named after whatever feature you're doing, but for now, I'll do like, blueprint box or something like that. Okay, so we made a branch, and then let's say I want to go to this branch, because remember, we're still on main right now, okay? We're still on the main branch. We have to explicitly change ourselves onto another branch. Okay, remember to do this so you don't modify main. You have to do git checkout and then our branch name. So if you guys remember, my branch is called Blueprint Rocks, blah, blah. It says switch to branch Blueprint Rocks. Okay, now we can safely make changes without worrying about our main. So what change should we make? So if you guys are following along, just make sure to check if you're like a Windows user or a Mac user because it's different. So most people, when like Mac and Linux, you could do touch and then the name of the file. For me, I'm on PowerShell, right? Sorry, let me just move this. I think I'll move this away for now. Right, PowerShell and command prompt have like a little bit of different commands, but yeah, if you're a Windows user or PowerShell, you'll be using this. If not, use this, okay? Um, yeah, so on your own command line interface, do the corresponding command to the type of command line interface. So like I'm gonna do, so I'm on PowerShell. I would do this. Let's name it file, something like that, maybe. Now if we list, oh look, wow. Okay, so you guys try that now and then type in the chat if it doesn't work. But yeah, make sure to use the right one for yourself. All right. So what next? We made our change, right? Our change was making a new file. Now we have to stage this change. So a useful command to tell you like what files were changed is like or like just to tell you the status of like what you've done is git status. So like let's see, I did this. It says nothing commit, working tree clean. Yeah. So there's nothing to commit yet because we haven't gotten to that step. But first, you want to stage the change. So git add dot, like we've written here, right? That stages all of your changes. And we want to try to avoid that because like doing that, you might like stage something like you don't actually want to. So like a better way, like as I did here, is to just git add individually. It's just a better practice. So it's a bit safer, I'd say. But yeah. So we made the change, we used add. What do we do next? If you guys remember, our next thing is commit, right? So we want to commit, and look here, this is a message, right? And this message, it'll be written on GitHub. It'll be written for like all of your collaborators to see. So like you want to make it useful, right? So like it would usually be like a short message, like talking about like what you really did. For now, like maybe I could do something like made a new file slay or something like that. But like you guys get the point. Like make it relevant. So we do this, right? And then the last step, if you guys remember, it's pushing it. So you guys might have to do git push origin right, yeah. To git push origin and then like your branch name. I think because I'm like not on a fork, I'm able to do git push. Oh, never mind. To do this first. Oops. Sorry. As you can see, command line is pretty smart. Command line, like I forgot a step, it's gonna tell me what to do. So this is why we love it. We love computers. Okay, but as you can see, some of you guys might have run into this problem, right? After we like did our config, we like told GitHub who we are. How does it know it can really trust us though? Like how does it know like I am who I say I am? So now it's asking me to authenticate, right? So if I close this down, you can see it still asks me for my username. So at this point, enter your username. So like my username is LH28, right? And it asks me for a password. Now, this part is the part that's kind of tricky when you set up, because you can't just enter your actual password. GitHub doesn't accept that anymore because it's not very secure. So what do we have to do? We have to use personal access tokens, right? So this part is a bit confusing. Feel free to like replay this part if you don't get it. Right, so what we're gonna do, we're here, profile, settings, developer settings, right? Personal access token, classic is fine. Um, you could generate a new token. And then that was my prior testing token, so I can hit BP test 2, and then make sure to check this, okay? If you don't check these, you can't like push or like do anything. So check repo. You can decide what else to check. You can read through like the explanations later, but for now, you only need to do this. You could do more if you can though. Okay, so generate token. Okay, so we want to copy this, right? Don't navigate away yet. Just copy this and paste. Boom. So if it works, you'll see like this message, like, oh, it's like up the track. You'll see like this. If it doesn't, just ask us for help and we will help you. Right, so navigating back here now. Wow, look, you can see the branch. So for you guys, your branch is gonna like appear on your like own copy, not on my copy if you do this. Because remember how you forked my code? But yeah. Um, but congrats, we actually pushed our code onto GitHub. So that's really cool. Now you can navigate to this branch. You're like, oh my God. Right. Um, so for extra thing, you could try making a pull request to me. So what this does, right? Pull requests. You can make a pull request and push your change, just kind of push your changes from your fork to my branch. To do this, you see like new pull request, and I can do it like once. Well, I can do it like from my branch or something, but you guys can do it from your repository. But yeah, that's like an optional thing. If you guys like want to have fun, I can review your changes. You guys can leave like funny like notes in the comments. But yeah, you can make a pull request if you have time. Okay, so that was a lot, right? That was quite a lot of stuff. So we can have a little recap. So what did we do, right? Oh, and feel free to like ask me questions, by the way. But yeah, overall recap of what we have learned about Git. So first, you have a project. You have a repository, and like maybe it's like a template you found like a template like we give you or something like that, or like a template you found somewhere. But first you have a repository, right? You're gonna git clone that. So bring the repository to your computer. First thing, check, we did that. We want to enter the folder, of course. Make sure to do that because you can only run git commands like inside this folder. Like you can only push and pull inside the git repository. So you clone it, you enter the folder, you make a branch, like you make a branch for like any new feature you want to add, right? Make sure to switch to that branch, git checkout, right? You make your change, doesn't need to be this, but you make your change, right? Um, you then you add, right? You add and it goes to stage area, then you commit with a commit message, and then you push from the stage area, pushes down here, into the actual remote. And then you go back to GitHub and you can see your changes. Yeah. Anyways, and that's it. Those are the basics. Feel free to like keep the slideshow though, because again, the cheat sheet is very useful in going more into depth about GitHub. The add commit push is just like a really basic thing, but there's so many other cool things you can do with Git. So yeah, I would recommend using that. And now it is time for any questions.
Yeah, so we've had a couple of questions rolling in the chat throughout. I've been answering them. Yes, we will share the presentation link. This will be available. We'll send it out in the Discord like immediately following the presentation, and I'll also just drop it in the YouTube chat. Um, does anyone have any more specific questions that we can answer like right now? If not, no worries. We also do have always time during the hackathon to or like during the blueprint event to answer questions, or you guys can send questions over Discord. But if you have any right now in the live chat, please feel free to drop them. So Git rebase is when you have like two branches and they might be at different points of each other. And basically the idea of a rebase is if they're both got like sort of if they're both at like different points in time, you can kind of take the changes that have been made on one branch and like sort of like the differences between them and like kind of like reconcile that. So it's sort of like a merge, but without actually like performing the merge. We'll also have this GitHub cheat sheet available to you guys. There's another question about is there any advantage to using the Git bash over PowerShell? Like the Git bash is just like a tool that has all the Git commands built in, whereas PowerShell is like its own separate shell that you can run Git through. So like you could theoretically run the same things in both, except PowerShell you can also run like additional commands, like anything that would not necessarily be included in Git. So it's mostly up to preference, but generally people you will use like PowerShell or some more generalized shell just because you can run other stuff as well. Like all those like make directory and change directory commands. Linda, do you want to answer the question that Janet has dropped in the chat?
Oh my God, yes. Wait, I can't see the chat.
Oh wait, it's fine. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
kind of self-explanatory question.
Uh, sorry, wait, should I just open it? What's
No,
the
no, it's fine. It was a joke. She just asked how are you guys so cool.
Oh my God. I love you, Janet. You're my favorite. Wait, I wanna
Okay, if anyone has any more questions, we'll probably keep the stream up for like around 2 more minutes or so, but please do like you can ask any like we have a channel in the Discord called Help in Questions. So yeah, and if you're not in the Discord, make sure you join it. It's like go.hackmit.org/bp-discord. So make sure you join that. And yeah, otherwise that's it from us. Linda, do you have anything else to add?
looking forward to seeing you guys at the hackathon. Also you guys should go to the beginner web dev workshop because I'm teaching that and it's obviously the best workshop. So you know what, pull up. It'll be really fun. So
Yeah, and for all of you who don't want to do beginner web dev, you should definitely pull up to the hardware workshop, which I will be teaching. Um, In addition, we're also running another like the same type of presentation, this Git presentation on Sunday in the morning, like during the hackathon. So like be on the lookout for that if you want like another presentation just like this. Okay. Yes. I think that should be it. Thanks everyone. And like remember you guys can always reach out to us. Bye.